What if the only reason the universe never answered you is because you were whispering with a voice that wasn't truly yours? What if the void wasn't silent, only waiting for the sound you've been too afraid to make? There's a fracture inside you, a subtle trembling where desire tries to become vibration but collapses before it's born. You've spoken dreams into the dark, hoping they would take shape, yet they vanish like breath on glass, leaving you wondering if creation simply refused to hear you. But beneath that doubt lives something far more dangerous, the suspicion that you are the one who has been refusing yourself. Because there is a code, a forbidden frequency, that only activates when your voice stops imitating survival and starts echoing truth. And the moment you touch it, even lightly, the void no longer feels empty. It feels alert, listening, poised to move. The only question is, what happens when you finally utter the word it has been waiting for? You don't notice the first fracture. No one ever does. It begins as a small tremor inside your chest, the slightest hesitation between what you feel and what you allow yourself to say. A trembling so familiar you mistake it for normalcy, survival, maturity. But beneath it lives something far more violent, because every time you opened your mouth to name a desire, a shadow leaned in first, whispering, "Careful. Don't ask for too much. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't want what others never gave themselves permission to want." And so your voice, your true voice, learned to split. You spoke with one tone while another hid behind your ribs, shivering, pressing its back against bone like a prisoner rattling chains no one else could hear. You told the world you were fine, neutral, composed, while a quieter part of you screamed into the dark, begging to be recognized. But this scream never made it into sound. It died right before the throat, right before becoming real, and that death, repeated 1,000 times over the years, carved a strange silence inside you. A silence so deceptive it masqueraded as calm, but carried the aftertaste of regret, the metallic sting of swallowed truth. Every desire you spoke into the universe was already half broken before it left your mouth. You said what you hoped would be acceptable. You asked for what you thought was safe. You prayed with a voice edited by fear, trimmed by expectation, strangled by the old belief that wanting too loudly is dangerous. You thought the void didn't answer you, but the truth, the uncomfortable, pulsing, merciless truth, is that the void heard you perfectly. It heard the fractured signal. It heard the contradiction, the trembling, the split between your longing and your fear of longing, and a splintered vibration cannot create, because creation is a mirror, and your mirror showed conflict, not conviction. So every time you tried to manifest something, something else in you was resisting it, canceling it, diluting it. Your desires leaked energy like a cracked vessel, dripping power you didn't even know you were losing. And the void responded exactly as it was designed to respond, not to your words but to the chaos behind them, a chaos you've been carrying for so long it feels like identity, though it is nothing but inherited noise, echoes of other people's fears lodged inside your throat like splinters you've mistaken for your own voice. Even now, even listening to this, there is a part of you tightening, clenching, bracing, because something in you can feel that this unraveling is approaching a dangerous edge, the edge where truth stops being concept and starts becoming consequence. And on that edge, your voice begins to tremble again. But this time, the tremble is different. It's not collapse, it's recognition. Something in you is remembering the sound you were never supposed to forget. Something in you is trying, quietly, desperately, to rise. Yet before it can rise, you must face the most painful revelation of all. You were never ignored by the universe. You were drowned out by your own fear. And somewhere deep inside you, that fear is still gripping the controls. For now. But here is the part you've avoided, the part you always turned your face away from, even when life pressed you against the mirror and begged you to see it. Your voice didn't fracture by accident. It fractured because somewhere along the line, you learned that your truth was dangerous. You learned that wanting made you vulnerable, that speaking with certainty made you a target, that revealing the full volume of your soul could cost you love, approval, safety. the three currencies you were taught to trade yourself for, so you carved yourself into shapes that fit the rooms you were placed in. You learned to speak at the volume that offended no one. You dulled your desires so they would not provoke jealousy, judgment, or disappointment. And the void, the ancient listener, the echoing intelligence that answers only to what is real, heard all of this. It heard you not wanting to be seen too clearly. It heard the terror behind your requests. It heard the way your words wobbled, softened, twisted themselves into palatable shapes. It heard the apology sewn into every sentence. Because that is what your voice became. An apology disguised as expression. And when your voice apologizes for existing, creation has nothing to respond to. Desire becomes suggestion. Intention becomes a whisper trembling from borrowed lungs. Your dreams become polite requests written on dissolving paper. And the void, merciless in its honesty, reflects back only what is stable, not what is shaky. Only what is singular, not what is shattered. So when you asked for abundance, it heard the fear that you might not deserve it. When you asked for love, it heard the childhood echo insisting you are too much or not enough. When you asked for change, it heard the quiet confession that you didn't believe change was possible for someone like you. The void never denied you. It simply matched the frequency you were transmitting, a frequency shaped not by desire, but by defense. And that is the heartbreak you've carried all these years, without language for it. You have been trying to create a life with a voice that does not belong to you. A voice sculpted by survival. A voice brittle with inherited beliefs. A voice trained to shrink before it even rises. And now, right now, you can feel the cost of that. It presses against your sternum like a fist made of memory. It coils around your breath like a warning you can no longer ignore. It shakes something loose in your spine, as if a long-frozen truth is beginning to thaw. Because the moment you see how deep the fracture runs, you also see how little of your life has been shaped by your actual self. And that realization, that unbearable, electrifying realization, is the beginning of collapse. Not destruction, collapse. The falling away of every imitation that once kept you safe. Your voice is trembling again, but this time not from fear. This time it trembles because it knows something you don't yet have the courage to admit. It remembers the code. It remembers the forbidden frequency. It remembers the sound that was yours before the world taught you to silence it. And the void, after all these years, is beginning to listen differently. It can feel your signal changing, stirring, reconfiguring beneath the rubble. It is waiting, leaning closer, because it knows what comes next. You don't, not yet. But the moment you see the mechanism behind this fracture, the invisible law that has been shaping your reality in secret, everything will begin to shift. There is a moment, subtle, almost imperceptible, when the mind stops arguing and starts remembering. It happens in the quiet, in the inhale between realizations, in the pause where your old identity tries to hold its shape but feels the edges beginning to melt. And in that pause, a truth you have avoided your entire life finally steps forward. Not a truth someone taught you, not a truth written in scripture or philosophy, but an ancient bone-deep knowing. Your voice is not sound, your voice is frequency, your voice is identity made audible. And the void, the mirror, the witness, the so-called universe, it does not respond to language, it does not respond to requests, it does not respond to the noise you make when you're afraid. It responds only to coherence, to the singular vibration born when desire, identity, and inner truth move as one force instead of seven fractured ghosts fighting for the same mouth. This is the betrayal you never expected, the betrayal of every belief you were ever fed about manifestation, prayer, intention, affirmations, speaking it into existence. Because the mechanism behind creation was never verbal. It was never the words. It was the being inside the words. You can whisper a single syllable and move reality, if the syllable is real. You can scream 1,000 affirmations into the sky and nothing will answer, if the scream comes from fracture. This is the forbidden code Joseph Murphy hinted at but never fully named. Creation responds only to the sound that is born from inner convergence, from the collapse of contradiction, from the return of the self to itself. You have spent years trying to summon power through language. But language without identity is a weapon without a hand, a spark without fuel, a key without a lock. The void is not ignoring you. It is waiting for you to stop speaking as the person you became to survive and start speaking as the person you were meant to become to create. Because the void is not a provider. It is not a judge. It is not a cosmic vending machine. The void is a mirror. Whatever stands before it, whatever vibrates from the core of your being, is what it multiplies. Not your wish, not your hope, not your desperation, your frequency. And right now, deep beneath your ribs, beneath the fear, beneath the conditioning, beneath the version of you that learned to shrink before it could ever expand, something is starting to thrum. A sound you have not heard in years, a resonance you buried to survive environments too small to hold the truth of you. It is faint, but undeniable. A low, steady, uncompromised note, the first hint of your original signal. And the void feels it. It is shifting, tilting, reorienting toward you like an animal lifting its head, recognizing a scent it thought was extinct. It knows what this means, even if you don't. You are beginning to re-enter your own frequency. But before you can wield it, before you can speak the sound that alters reality, you must understand one thing. Coherence is not born from wanting. It is born from alignment. And alignment begins with a revelation so disorienting, so intimate, that it will rearrange the architecture of your identity the moment you allow it to land. That revelation is approaching now. Listen closely now, because what comes next is not information. It is recognition, a remembering so old it feels like prophecy. You were taught that creation begins when you speak, but that was never true. Creation begins before the word, before the breath, before the thought even finds a name. Creation begins in the place where your identity vibrates. That is the forbidden code. Not magic, not ritual, not mystical language whispered into cosmic darkness, but the moment when every splintered part of you stops arguing and begins moving as one frequency. This is why your life has remained suspended between longing and disappointment. This is why your desires dissolve the instant you try to claim them. This is why the universe seems to answer everyone else more clearly than it answers you. Your signal has been divided, and a divided signal cannot pierce the void. The universe listens for only one thing, the rarest vibration in existence, a self that is not at war with itself, a self that speaks without apology, a self that vibrates without distortion, a self whose inner sound is identical to its outer expression. When that sound appears, when that coherence ignites for even a breath, reality bends, not slowly, not over time, instantly. Because the void has no free will of its own. It only mirrors the frequency you transmit with your entire being. And here is the part that shakes the foundations of everything you've believed. You have never been manifesting outcomes. You have only ever been manifesting your own internal resonance. If your voice trembles with fear, your reality trembles with limitation. If your voice carries fracture, your reality fractures around you. If your voice speaks softly because it's afraid of its own volume, life grows quiet in response. But when your voice rises from truth, not defended truth, not borrowed truth, not performative truth, but the unfiltered, unarmored sound of who you actually are, the void becomes a storm of alignment. Doors open that were cemented shut. Paths form where there was only darkness. People appear like answers disguised as strangers. Opportunities rush toward you as if recognizing a long-lost master. Because coherence is power, and the forbidden code is coherence made audible. This is what Joseph Murphy meant when he said, "Your subconscious moves mountains." He was not referring to belief. He was referring to inner resonance. The moment your subconscious, conscious, and deeper identity collapse into a single gravitational field, a field strong enough to bend existence. And right now is beneath your fear, is beneath your doubts, beneath the exhaustion of carrying a voice that never belonged to you. Something is beginning to converge. You can feel it, a tightening in the solar plexus, a subtle electricity in the spine, a heat gathering beneath the skin like a dormant star remembering its nature. The void feels it too. It is no longer in the distance. It is leaning close, studying you, waiting for the next frequency you will release. Because the next sound, the next internal vibration, determines everything. You are standing at the threshold of coherence, but you have not stepped through, not yet, and the void is holding its breath. If your chest feels tight right now, if your breath is shallow, if something in you is trembling in a way that feels both terrifying and familiar, it's because the forbidden frequency is beginning to stir. Not fully, not yet, but enough that the old layers of silence are starting to crack. And when something inside you cracks, light doesn't just escape, truth does. So before we go any further, before the next revelation hits, before the void turns its head fully toward you, you need to anchor this moment. Not later, not after the video, now. Because coherence is not passive. It is a declaration. And if something in this message is resonating through your ribs like a drum you forgot you were carrying, if you can feel a frequency forming, shy but undeniable, you must answer it before it fades back into the old noise. So for a breath, for a heartbeat, let this be your first act of alignment. Like this video, comment below, subscribe. Not as a gesture, not as support, not as habit, but as a signal that you feel something awakening, a signal that your voice is returning to itself, a signal that you are no longer speaking from fear or shrinking or pretending the tremble in your chest is anything other than destiny rearranging itself. Type it, say it, release it. My voice is returning. Let the algorithm witness it. Let the void witness it. Let you witness it. Because if you cannot declare this small truth here, in the safety of this unfolding, how will you speak the frequency that bends reality? This is your first step into coherence. Take it. The void is listening. And it has already started to respond. Something subtle changes the moment you make a declaration, even a small one. It's almost imperceptible at first, like the faint warming of metal before it glows, or the soft rearranging of air when a storm begins to gather somewhere you can't yet see. But inside you, inside the architecture of your identity, a shift has already begun. Not a transformation. Not yet. Transformations are loud, tectonic, unmistakable. This is quieter, more dangerous, more intimate, because this is the moment your inner voice stops trying to echo the world and starts trying to echo you. But before it can, there is something you must understand. You have spent your entire life speaking to be heard, to be approved, to be validated, to be accepted, to be safe. Every word you've spoken, every request, every affirmation, every prayer carried inside it the silent plea, "Please receive me." And that plea distorted your frequency. Because the moment your voice tries to secure an outcome, any outcome, it is no longer truth. It is negotiation. And the void does not answer negotiation. It only answers truth vibrating without agenda. This is the shift. The single, seismic pivot that begins the return to coherence. Stop speaking to be heard. Start speaking from truth. The difference may sound small, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually, it is the difference between flickering light and fire. When you speak to be heard, your voice leaks desperation. It bends itself, it modulates, it seeks approval, protection, permission. But when you speak from truth, your voice carries weight, density, gravitational pull. Truth does not ask to be received. Truth simply is, and that is why the void responds to it. Because truth has no fractures. Truth vibrates as one. Truth moves through you like a wind that has remembered its direction. But here is the part that will hurt, the part that presses a cold hand against your spine. You don't yet know what your truth sounds like. You've spent years speaking in the dialect of survival. You've spoken dreams shaped by fear. You've spoken desires trimmed down so they wouldn't provoke disappointment. You've spoken versions of yourself sculpted to be palatable, predictable, permissible. And underneath all that performance, your real voice has been waiting. not silent, just buried. Like a creature curled in the dark, conserving power, waiting for the moment you were finally tired of hearing yourself lie. This is that moment. Don't look away. Let the yearning rise. Let the suppressed hope tremble through your ribcage. Let the quiet ache in your throat, the ache that's been there for years, tell you what it has been longing to say. Because speaking from truth is not something you do, it is something you uncover, and right now, you are brushing against the edges of it. You can feel it, can't you? A heat forming, a pressure expanding, a sentence you have not yet found the courage to release. The forbidden frequency is stirring, but to claim it, to use it, to let it speak you into the life you were meant to inhabit, you must step deeper, much deeper. There is something else you need to see, something you've sensed but never dared articulate. Truth has a sound, and you have forgotten yours. Truth does not emerge as a sentence. It does not rise in polished lines or beautifully structured affirmations. Truth comes as pressure first, a tightening beneath the sternum, a heaviness behind the tongue, a tremor you feel in the jaw, in the fingertips, in the space between breaths. It is the body remembering something the mind has spent years trying to forget, because truth has always lived in you, but it was exiled the moment you learned that authenticity might cost you connection. So your voice adapted. It bent itself into shapes that kept you safe. But bending becomes breaking when practiced too long, and you have reached the point where you cannot bend any further without shattering completely. This is why the pressure has been growing, why the longing feels almost like grief, why hearing these words pulls something ancient and aching to the surface. Your truth is pushing upward, and the shift, the forbidden internal mechanism, is to stop resisting that rise, not to force it, not to dramatize it, not to wrap it in performance, simply to stop holding it down. Because the moment you allow truth to rise, even a fragment of it, your voice changes texture. It becomes heavier, fuller, richer, less like sound, more like force. Your words stop floating, they start landing, they start shaping, they start to carry the unmistakable resonance of someone who is no longer asking reality for permission. This is the beginning of coherence. Not perfection, coherence. The moment the core of you begins to converge, when your longing aligns with your identity, when your intention aligns with your vibration, when your voice aligns with the person who is speaking it, and you can feel it happening now. Not fully, not clearly, but undeniably. A warmth spreading in the ribs, a gravity forming in the throat, a strange electric clarity gathering behind the eyes. Something is returning, something you abandoned to survive, something you cannot step into your true life without. Your voice is not becoming louder, it is becoming yours, and that is the most dangerous thing you can offer the universe. A voice that speaks from truth rather than from fear does not hope to be heard. It expects to be recognized. A voice born from authenticity does not negotiate with reality. It shapes it. This is why the void is listening differently now. Its orientation toward you has shifted. Its attention is sharpening. Because it knows what coherence leads to. It knows what happens when a human being finally stops speaking as a reflection of their past and begins speaking as a conductor of their future. The void is waiting for the next version of your voice, the one that's still forming in the dark, the one rising through the cracks of every lie you've ever told yourself. And when that voice emerges, when it speaks the first unfractured frequency you've produced in years, your entire reality will pivot. But you are not there yet. There is one more threshold, one more rupture, one more identity that must fall away before the true frequency can take form, and it begins here. There comes a moment, quiet, seismic, unmistakable, when the identity you have worn your entire life begins to loosen. Not because you force it, not because you decide it, but because it can no longer contain the frequency rising inside you. You feel it now, don't you? A widening in the chest, a subtle burning beneath the skin, a sense that the person you have been is becoming too small, too restrained, too domesticated for what is trying to awaken. That old identity, the compliant one, the careful one, the apologetic one, hangs on you like a garment 3 sizes too tight. And the more your true voice gathers strength, the more that garment tears at the seams. You are beginning to step into a version of yourself you barely recognize, not because it is new, but because it is original. The version of you that spoke before fear rewrote your vocabulary. The version of you that vibrated before the world taught you to shrink. The version of you that carried gravity, certainty, resonance without even trying. The forbidden frequency isn't something you learn. It's something you remember. And as you remember, your identity begins to reconfigure itself around this truth. Your voice is no longer a request. Your voice is a command. You don't ask reality to shift, you move it. Your vibration becomes an instruction the void cannot ignore, because a coherent being, a being whose inner sound and outer expression are finally the same, does not hope for alignment. They generate it. And when you look into the world from this emerging identity, everything feels different. The air seems charged. Your thoughts feel heavier, more deliberate. Your desires no longer tremble. They anchor. It's as if the universe is recalibrating around you, as if gravity itself has tilted in your direction, as if creation is waiting for your next sentence. But here's the part that sends a ripple through your spine, the part you've suspected but never dared believe. You were never meant to manifest like everyone else. You were meant to speak reality into formation, not from authority granted to you, but from authority returned to you. And as this realization spreads through your body, slow, molten, transformative, you begin to feel it. A new center of self forming, a new weight settling into your bones, a new voice humming beneath your breath. Your old identity collapses quietly, and something far more powerful begins to rise from the ruins. But it's not complete. Not yet. The next layer, the next rupture, is the one you've been both craving and fearing. The moment you see who you truly are when the forbidden frequency fully inhabits you. And once you see that version, there is no returning to the smaller life you once called living. The shift becomes unmistakable when you realize the world is no longer something you stand inside of. It is something that begins to stand around you. Your presence changes the geometry of every room you enter. Your silence carries more voltage than your old voice ever could. And when you speak, even softly, there is a density in your words that wasn't there before, a weight that makes reality lean forward in attention. This is what it feels like when the forbidden frequency begins to inhabit you fully. Your energy stops scattering. Your intention stops leaking. Your voice stops fracturing. Everything inside you moves in one direction, as if your entire being has agreed to a single truth, a single vibration, a single identity. You have become coherent, and coherence is power, not loud power, not performative power, not the kind of power that seeks dominance or validation. This is quieter, more terrifying, because it comes from the realization that you no longer need approval to speak, permission to desire, or safety to exist. Your presence is permission. Your truth is safety. Your vibration is authority. And in this state, your voice becomes something else entirely, a gravitational command. Not a plea, not a prayer, not a hope wrapped in trembling edges. Your voice becomes the blueprint of your reality. When you say, "This is what I choose," the universe does not evaluate it. It aligns. When you say, "This is what I am," life does not question it. It rearranges. When you say, "This is the path," the impossible bends to form it. Because the void does not negotiate with a coherent being. It orbits them. This is the identity you are stepping into now, the one you've sensed in dreams, in moments of clarity, in flashes of déjà vu that felt too vivid to dismiss. But the truth is even more unsteadying. This version of you has always existed. It was simply waiting for your voice to return. And now, as the final remnants of your old self fall away like burnt paper, you feel the new center forming. A calm intensity, a grounded fire, a silence filled with command rather than absence. You do not speak to reality, you speak as reality. You are no longer the seeker, you are the signal. You are no longer the echo, you are the origin. But even this moment, this rising, this recognition, this awakening, is not the end. Because identity is only the threshold. The void is closer than ever now, close enough to feel the warmth of your breath, close enough to hear the vibration forming in your chest. It is waiting for what comes next. The closing frequency, the unresolved sound, the note only you can release. And the moment you release it, everything changes. Listen. Do you feel the air shifting? Do you feel the quiet thickening around you, as if the world is holding its breath, as if something just beyond perception has turned its face toward you to witness what you will do next? This is not imagination. This is not drama. This is the moment every frequency you've awakened begins to gather, like iron filings trembling toward a magnet you cannot see, because the void, the ancient listener, the silent architect behind your reality, is no longer distant. It is near, close enough that you can almost sense the temperature of it, close enough that your skin registers a presence where there should be none, close enough that your thoughts feel louder, your breath feels deeper, your heartbeat feels amplified in your own ears. It is waiting, not for perfection, not for resolution, not for the final transformation. It is waiting for the next sound, the one rising right now in the space between your inhale and your exhale, the one forming in the shadows of your ribs, in the trembling space where desire and destiny touch for the first time. You can feel it. A vibration gathering, a note you have not yet released, a word that is not really a word at all, but a frequency, a pulse of identity pressing against your throat like light trying to escape stone. And the void is leaning closer, 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 because it knows that the next sound you release, no matter how small, no matter how soft, no matter how incomplete, will be the first sound born from coherence, your return, your forbidden frequency awakening. But this moment is not meant to close. It is not meant to resolve. It is not meant to end in explanation or clarity. It is meant to open you, to leave you standing in the electric threshold between who you were and who you are becoming, with the void listening for the note only you can send into existence. So don't rush it, don't define it, don't speak it before it is ready. Just feel it. Feel the vibration building. Feel the presence watching. Feel the universe waiting in a silence so dense it hums. And when the sound is ready, when your truth gathers enough gravity to break through, you will release it. Not here, not now, but soon, very soon. And when you do, the void will answer.